Okay, so here's a list of my 15 favorite trees. That's what we're talking about today. First up, Methuselah. You guys know this one?
No.
It's arguably the oldest organism in the world. There are some other, there's some bullshit claimers to that. There's like some volcano sea sponges that claim to be longer. There's this forest, if you count it as one organism, where the trees die and new trees come up.
Organisms are claiming to be longer as much as other weird people are dying on this hill.
Their PR agencies are the ones that are claiming it, but they are not saying much.
But this is the bristlecone pine. These are white mountains of California. They're also in Nevada. Bristlecone pines. This one in particular, Methuselah, is thought to be over 5,000 years old. It looks how you'd expect the oldest tree to look. It looks so gnarled and perfect.
Yeah. Imagine all of the, I guess, the most powerful like wands, I guess, all just twisted together into sort of like a Game of Thrones kind of thing.
This looks like a witch created this out of an enemy.
Yeah.
It's beautifully witchy.
Imagine millions of elementary school play directors bringing this picture to a set designer and going, make that. That's what we want for a scary tree. Do this. Just this.
Another favorite tree of mine, the jacaranda, specifically the jacaranda right outside my window. Bree, as you know.
Jacaranda and find out, right?
That's true. One of the things, Bree, as you know, other people might not know, the best thing about Los Angeles is that for 3 to 4 weeks in late March, early April, the city is just vibrantly purple. There are jacaranda trees everywhere. The jacaranda bloom of street trees in Los Angeles is so incredible. I love it so much, and it's just a nice looking street tree year round. But for 3 weeks, it turns purple. And one of the ways you can tell that someone has lived in Los Angeles long enough to be almost a native is when they're more annoyed about it falling on their car than they are pleased with the beauty they're surrounded by.
I would add another one, which is if you can tolerate the influencers that are taking photos in front of the jacaranda tree, you are an Angelino.
Yeah. The jacaranda was also I did know the story about the jacaranda at one point, and I have forgotten it now, but it was like the first, Bree, this is for you. It was the first landscape architect woman hired by any major city in the United States was the woman who brought the jacaranda here, and
from South America. Yes,
I believe so. Yeah. And they're great. They're awesome street trees. They're so beautiful, and we have one outside our window, and it's one of the reasons why we picked this apartment, and we love it. It makes me happy every day. Another favorite tree, the chandelier tree in Leggett, California. Have you guys ever driven a car through a tree?
Oh, yeah.
So not on purpose.
There's 6 of these. This is one of the most famous, and this is my parents' minivan. These pictures are in 1990. This is my parents driving our minivan on a road trip through this tree. It's a coastal redwood. They grow big enough and they're hardy enough that you can cut a road through the middle. So there's 10 of them, and it's people who had these trees on their yards were like, oh, people will pay $10 to drive through my tree. So they cut holes in trees and you drive through trees. It's crazy.
That's a little horrific.
To figure that out was really gambling on their fundamentals of math.
My parents got divorced and then we went on vacation together. That's kind of classic American stuff.
Pretty American.
That's Americana for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Like a thick silence in the car. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. A hot silence. I love it.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely.
Let's talk about palm trees, you guys. Great tree, right?
Yeah.
Not a tree. Technically not a tree. Technically a grass.
Wow.
In the way that scientists are always like, that's not a bird, it's a fish, or whatever. Yeah. Scientists love to tell you a thing's not a thing. But so technically, palm trees are actually grass. The one time that's interesting is if you see someplace where a palm tree was cut down and you see a little forest of palm trees growing out of it, it kind of looks grassy, but there's other reasons it has to do with seeds. Who gives a shit? The point is, iconic as fuck, right? They're not useful as street trees, no shade provided, but they have the tiniest little root balls. They grow 30, 40 feet tall, and they just look so good photographed against a sunset. When you see a palm tree in a movie, it just sets a place so quickly. Yeah. You know how close you are to the equator. It's just, what an incredible tree that can just be boom, right there.
In your research, did you learn about how often those things just fall down?
I know from my neighborhood that the fronds fall on cars all the time and cause mayhem.
The fronds are everywhere. Yeah. They're terrifying.
Yeah.
If they're so unsteady, you'd think they just clonk over.
So one of the things is they don't. Yeah.
In your research, did you find out how often people pull them down and use them like slingshots to launch themselves, like in cartoons?
No,
that happens a lot. Like if you grab a palm tree and you just bend it straight down and hold on,
like a switch.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then you let go, it will like launch whatever you want to launch, like a mile, right? That also happens.
Definitely.
Actually, is this interesting? We'll find out. So, one of the most common types of palm trees here in Los Angeles, which is the Mexican fan palm or the California fan palm, they're just slightly different sizes, but they're similar. Have a little like the dead fronds kind of hang down in a little triangle shape. Sometimes they're called petticoat palms because it looks like they got a little petticoat on. It's adorable. Those a basket of dead fronds will actually make the structure much more stable. The same way when like jugglers are balancing things, if you put a heavy item towards the top, it'll actually make it easier to balance than if it's really light up at the top.
Oh, good. Another juggling analogy. Best thing ever.
Count it.
Put another count. Put another. Days. It's been 0 days since juggling reference.
Another great tree. This is the Temple of Ta Prohm in Cambodia. This is a strangler fig. I love anytime a tree is taking over something. I love a tree that is
you're on Team Tree
and wrecking it. No, we'll cut them down. We got saws, Ezra. Yeah. They know not to fuck with us when we're using the structure, but
afterwards it's like this is yours now.
I saw trees like this in Thailand and Indonesia. And they would truly be like strangling a building like a kraken on a ship.
Yeah.
Like just overtaking. And in Asia, like in these Asian countries that I was traveling through, they really respect the trees. There's not a bunch of Alex Falcones that are hacking away. They're like, well, let's let the tree win because it's beating a building.
Yeah.
And we love the trees because of all the Maslow's need hierarchy. They just keep it.
What I'm trying to communicate emotionally is that I love them and I'm also a little scared of them, and so that's why
you should be though for sure because I mean this image of the strangler fig, it's very much like you got to end mid hand smash, just destroying Saruman's tower.
Speaking of ents, Ezra, another favorite tree, Treebeard.
Yeah, good beard,
good tree, good beard. But this is weird though. So he was a tree. He had a beard for a tree also?
Yeah, his beard is trees. It's or twigs. It's a little bit unclear.
It's like calling a human beard, right? That's weird.
Well, no, but the beard isn't smaller humans.
Well, all right. So what's up with this guy? Just saying.
So anyway, Treebeard, badass ent hanging out in the Fanghorn Forest. Very horny for ent wives, the ents. Is like the end of that story is them like, you know, you saved us. The trees will be powerful again. Good job, little hobbits. But we can't find any more women, and so we're all going to slowly die out. Let me know if you find any women. They were very sad to not have any ent wives in that story.
Horny for ent wives is an interesting way of spinning sad to die.
Yeah, sad to not be able to continue this species. Yeah,
but he talks about it a lot. He really is looking for more women. He's like, let me know if you see any hot trees that I can bang.
We can talk about this later, but is a proper personification of tree? Wouldn't they be like a non-binary gendered person who is horny for literally any other tree? And don't they kind of like have a polycule situation? Probably not like a courtly love pair bonding thing.
Well, I mean, wouldn't trees fuck the earth and not each other? Like trees don't breed with trees; they breed with the ground.
No, okay.
Bees are involved too. I feel like for some of these guys, right?
Yeah. So trees do have genders, and there's actually a weird gender politics of trees in in landscape architecture. So lady trees are the fruiting ones. So they make goo all over the ground. So they so landscape architects don't plant female trees very often. They mostly plant male trees. The problem is male trees, although they don't make visible mess, they're the ones that produce allergens. So one of the reasons why scientists think maybe allergies are so much worse, seasonal allergies are worse than they used to be, is because we've planted exclusively boy trees.
Huh.
And we're all sick off that sperm.
We saw that oak sperm we've been snorting.
Air sperm.
It's gross. If you think of trees as coming everywhere, it does make it worse. But yeah, that's...
I mean, or better. It really depends on your opinion. Like the idea of like
I don't know
being in a forest and just everything around you is doing that. It's kind of cool. That's kind of exciting, right?
If the reason that makes you say yes, this is the best thing ever, I feel like there might be a bigger discussion that we have to have generally that I don't know if I want to be part of.
Or maybe it's bigger discussion we could skip forever.
Also, best thing ever, like confronting humans with their choices.
Yeah.
Oh, that is. You know what? That's not fun, but it is necessary, so I'm here for it.
Another favorite tree of mine, the reading tree at Whitman College. As you remember this guy,
it's a good tree.
It's an Oriental plane, I think, is the kind of tree it is. But
that's a big, good-looking tree. Imagine yourself like wanting to sit down. Right? There's like kind of the big chunks of bark that kind of fall off it.
Yeah, and it has the kind of branches where you can just sit in the tree. It's a good sitting tree. People sit up there and read. One of the things that attracted me to the school when I was a kid was that they have a 1-to-1 student to tree ratio. There are as many trees as student on campus at any given time.
And if one dies, the other dies. It stays even.
Right. They have to top a tree or something if it rots.
Oh no!
They have to kill a student. Yeah, a student rots from the inside. It's the same exact thing.
Exactly.
It's a Dorian Gray
car.
It's a Dorian Gray situation.
One of these trees is yours. Guard it with your life.
It's brutal, but it's worth it.
Whisper your secrets into it.
That almost looks like a tree that you could climb. I mean, not someone with Alex and Ezra's major, but like a real young college person.
Yeah. I mentioned this.
Philosophy students would tree themselves all the time, Bree.
Yeah,
okay,
sure.
They can't get down. That's the issue.
I was going to ask, what about Plato? Is this like Plato's tree? You know, the idea of a tree.
This is the Platonic ideal for sure.
I like the idea that we are cats, where it's like a philosophy major can climb, but they can't walk backwards. So if you bring them upstairs, they're stuck there forever.
You need to get a geology major to get you down.
Another tree that's not a tree, super trees in Singapore. Whoa. Have you guys seen the super trees?
No. Okay.
I actually did see the super trees when I was in Asia and I went to Singapore.
Are they cool as hell? I've only seen them in videos and pictures. I've never actually been.
They're sort of in this area, and you're like, why is Singapore Las Vegas? And so it's very like Disneyland for a little bit.
So what this is it's a garden in Singapore that is these 150-foot tall metal trees that are covered with living plants the whole way up. There's like 170,000 plants in this garden of trees. And I first saw this on Planet Earth episode about urban animals, which is that this is an incredible area for birds, and it has brought a lot of animal species back to an area that's very, very densely populated.
You know, the palm trees not being trees debate is kind of silly, but this not being a tree is like I get that it's literally not a tree. It's a
cyborg tree.
Yeah,
but that's how powerful trees are.
Yeah.
That the idea of a tree, the concept, the trope of a tree is as powerful as an actual planted tree.
We all agree that's just as powerful.
Oh yeah.
Anthony doesn't look like he agrees.
No. I mean, when I thought I was going to make this presentation, my whole thing was going to be about trees in culture and mythology, right? Like trees as a symbol are used in
family tree
and everything from
Tree of Life.
Tree of Life. I've been playing like Elden Ring recently, and like the Ur tree. There's like this massive giant tree in the center of the map.
Tree of knowledge from the literal Bible.
I forgot. Yeah, God put the knowledge that you are naked in a tree. He hid it in a tree. Thought we wouldn't find it because we were blind, but then we climbed right up there.
Well, it's very upsetting that he gave us the entire world, and the first thing we did was find out the naked tree. Right? We could have done anything else for a million years.
Was it first, or did we like?
I mean, that was the first plot point. I think is the thing. The other was just skippable, right? So
we spent a lot of time doing normal stuff in the garden, and then we were like, "Hey, what's this apple?"
I think we were doing not normal stuff, but we had no problem with it. That's what I think was going on.
But yeah, trees are like I do agree that the concept of trees is in some ways more important to us as like a society and a culture than like actual trees are, even though we need them to breathe and live. Like,
I see what you're saying, Anthony, but this is my presentation. These are my favorite trees. Next up, goat trees. In Morocco, it's an argan tree, and there's a species of tree, and they grow low, gangly branches that are perfect for goats to climb up. So just like we can climb up and sit in a tree with philosophy majors, goats all over trees in Morocco. Next thing, not a tree, but it looks like a tree. Broccoli. Look like tiny forests. No one's arguing they're trees. They're not. Also, they're the reason we have James Bond still. So that's pretty fun. Another favorite tree of mine. These fucking things. These are Chinese laurel figs. It's one of the most common street trees in Los Angeles. Incredible canopies. Just one of the best canopy trees. They love the weather here. The problem is, for 30 years, they're like cool. They're like, we chill. They play along with everybody. They grow huge really fast. And then after about 30 years, they're like, actually, I want all of this sidewalk for myself. And then they destroy the sidewalk, which I feel both ways about. I love it. It's cool. I like to see it, right? I love it. On the other side of it, bad for handicap accessibility. So you can't do it. So you got to tear out the trees. But for like 29 years, it's like the perfect tree, and they are so incredible. So much
bad
shade.
for people who maybe walk around not paying attention very well and stub their toes constantly on concrete that's ripping up.
Pokemon hunters.
Pokemon hunters. You know?
A couple more of my favorite trees, really quick. The pandos, the aspen groves. So aspens. Are they a tree? Kind of. They're also one thing. So an aspen grove, they are all connected. They are one organism.
Oh my god, amazing.
This is one of those claimants to being the oldest thing is not the tree. It's this is Theseus thing, right? It's like the trees die, but the new trees come up, but the whole organism is still alive. I'm not buying it.
It's James Bond.
What?
It's James Bond. James Bond can live forever because there's always a James Bond.
Yeah, and if James Bond was like, I'm the oldest organism, I'd be like, no, fuck off, James.
You're broccoli. We know it.
But I mean, if he said I'm the oldest like film franchise, you'd be like, yes. You know, you have to just find like, I am the oldest thing that is like continually regrowing and refreshing, you know?
I love Australian bottle trees because they got that ass. Look at that. That is a thick... That is a hot tree.
I don't know how to describe this one and do it justice, really.
Two more favorite trees. Major oak. Which is supposedly the oak tree that Robin Hood hung out under. This was voted voted tree of the year in 2004. It's outside of Sherwood Forest in England.
I really hate when trees get like when trees get like a title and then they make you call them major. It's like, all right, you used to just be oak. I remember you when you were just cool.
I didn't go to boot camp for 5 years. You can call me Mr. Oak.
Okay. Wait.
Or Mrs. Oak.
Oh, good point. Thank you, Bree. Good job. I was going to say, though, if you're in boot camp for 5 years, you're pretty bad at boot camp.
They wanted to give him a boost. They made him major.
Another favorite tree is Groot. Who is Groot? Is Groot. Yeah. He is Groot. Was he Groot? Are we Groot? Who knows? All right. Anyway, those are my 15 favorite trees.